The plane dropped like a stone. 1 second we were cruising at 37,000 feet, the baby in 14C finally quiet, the drink cart halfway down the aisle. The next second the floor vanished. Oxygen masks slapped down from the ceiling like yellow jellyfish. A woman screamed. Coffee cups exploded against the galley wall. Then the lights flickered out and the entire cabin plunged into darkness except for the strobing wing lights outside. That's when the captain's voice cracked over the intercom, raw and shaking. "This is Captain Ruiz. We've lost both engines. I need, God, please, is there any military pilot on board? Any fighter pilot? Anyone with high-performance experience? Please, press your call button now." Row after row of white, terrified faces stared at the little white buttons above their heads. Nobody moved, except one man. Seat 22A, window. The guy in the wrinkled navy t-shirt who'd spent the last hour getting publicly humiliated by the smug CEO in the $4,000 suit sitting next to him. Yeah, that guy. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back 4 hours, to when this whole thing started. Atlanta Hartsfield Jackson, Gate B14, red-eye to Seattle. Marcus Hayes stood in the boarding line clutching a squirming 2-year-old named Lily against his chest with one arm and dragging a dinosaur backpack with the other. His navy ball cap was pulled low, dark circles under his eyes so deep they looked bruised. His uniform shirt was 2 days past laundry day, and there was a suspicious white smear on his shoulder that might have been yogurt, and his 5 o'clock shadow was pushing midnight. Lily had been screaming since the Uber ride. Ear infection, fever, no sleep for either of them in 48 hours. Marcus whispered into her curls, "Almost there, baby girl. Just gotta get on the plane, then you can sleep the whole way to Grandma's, okay?" The businessman in front of him, tailored navy suit, Hermes tie, Rolex the size of a hockey puck, turned around with a look of pure disgust. "Seriously," the man said loud enough for half the gate to hear. "You're bringing that on a 5-hour flight?" Marcus didn't even look up. She's sick. We're doing our best." The man, his boarding pass said Richard Harlan, 1A, gave a theatrical sigh and addressed the gate agent like Marcus was invisible. "Is there any chance of an upgrade for those of us in first class? I really don't want to listen to that the whole flight." The agent smiled politely. "I'm sorry, sir, the flight is completely full." Richard muttered something about standards and flying commercial these days, then shot Marcus another withering look, and strode down the jet bridge like he owned Delta. Marcus closed his eyes for half a second, kissed the top of Lily's hot little head, and whispered, "Ignore him, Lil. Daddy's got you." They ended up in 22A and 22B, middle seat empty, thank God. Marcus wrestled the car seat into the window, buckled Lily in, and prayed the pressure change would knock her out. Richard Harlan, of course, was in 1A, sipping complimentary champagne before the safety video even started. Takeoff was rough. Lily wailed the entire climb. Marcus walked her up and down the aisle twice, bouncing, shushing, humming, "Wheels on the bus," until his voice cracked. Passengers shot sympathetic smiles. A flight attendant slipped him a warm blanket and a tiny bottle of children's Tylenol. Richard Harlan was not sympathetic. Every time Marcus passed first class with the crying toddler, Richard made a show of putting in his noise-canceling earbuds louder, rolling his eyes, muttering, "Unbelievable," to the investment banker in 1C. The third time Marcus came back, Lily finally asleep against his chest, Richard stood up and blocked the aisle. "Listen," he said in that slow, condescending tone people use when they think they're being reasonable, "I have a 9-figure merger meeting tomorrow morning. I paid $6,000 for this seat. Do you think you could possibly keep her quiet for 5 hours? Or is that too much to ask from people like you?" The cabin went dead silent. Marcus stopped. His jaw flexed. For a second it looked like the exhausted single dad might actually deck the guy. Instead, he looked Richard dead in the eye and spoke in a voice so low it was almost a growl. "My wife died 14 months ago in a car accident on I-5 while I was deployed. This is the first time Lily has flown without her mom. She has an ear infection and 102 fever. I'm taking her to my mother in Seattle because I don't have anyone else. So no, Mr. Harlan, I can't promise you silence. But I promise you this, I will do everything in my power to take care of my daughter." And if that inconveniences you, then I'm sorry. But she's all I've got left. He stepped around the speechless CEO and walked back to 22A. A grandmother in 12D started clapping. Then the whole back half of the plane joined in. Quietly at first, then louder. Richard Harlan's face turned the color of his tie. He sat down hard and didn't say another word for 3 hours. Lily finally passed out an hour into the flight. Marcus stared out the window at the black Pacific far below, tears rolling silently down his cheeks, one hand resting on his daughter's back feeling her breathe. That's when the first engine failed. It sounded like a gunshot, then a horrible grinding whine. The plane yawed hard left. Overhead bins popped open. Bags rained down. Lily woke up screaming again. 30 seconds later the second engine quit. The cabin lights died. Emergency strips glowed red along the floor. Then came the captain's desperate plea. Any fighter pilot on board. Please, we're going down. Marcus didn't hesitate. He unbuckled Lily, handed her to the wide-eyed college kid in 22C. Hold her, don't let go, no matter what, and sprinted up the aisle. Passengers reached out, grabbing his sleeve as he passed. You got this, man. Bring us home, Navy. Richard Harlan watched him run past first class with pure terror on his face. Marcus slammed his palm on the cockpit door. It's open. Someone yelled. He burst in. Captain Ruiz was white-knuckling the yoke, co-pilot Ramirez frantically running checklists, alarms screaming in 20 different tones. Ruiz looked up. You the fighter pilot, Lieutenant Commander Marcus Hayes, United States Navy. FA-18 Super Hornet, 300 carrier traps, 2 combat tours. I've done dead stick landings in training. What have we got? Ramirez almost cried with relief. Both engines flamed out. Bird strike over the Cascades, looks like a whole flock went through at once. We've got 36,000 feet, 280 knots, and dropping. APU's online but hydraulics are degrading fast. Seattle's 180 miles. We're not gonna make it. Marcus slid into the jump seat, strapped in, eyes scanning the panels like he was back in the cockpit of his Hornet. Okay, we're a 737 to 900. Yes, good. They glide like a manhole cover, but they glide. How much fuel we got left? 20,000 pounds. Marcus did the math in his head. That's ballast. Dump it. Ruiz hesitated. If we get the engines back. We won't. Not in time. Dump it now, Captain. We need every pound of lift we can get. Ruiz hit the fuel dump switches. Out the window, twin streams of burning fuel turned into glittering mist in the moonlight. Marcus leaned forward. All right, give me flying controls when you're ready. You keep engines and systems, I'll fly the jet. Ramirez looked at the captain. Ruiz nodded once. Marcus took the yoke. His hands that had been shaking from exhaustion an hour ago, were rock steady now. The plane was a brick with wings, dropping 2,000 feet a minute. Marcus spoke calm, almost gentle, trimmed her nose up just a hair, trading airspeed for altitude. The stall warning screamed. He ignored it. Flaps 15, he said. Ramirez reached. We're way above flap speed. Do it. Flaps came down. Lift increased. Sync rate dropped to 1,200 fpm. Marcus's voice never rose. It was the same voice he'd used to sing Lily to sleep. Outside, the Washington coast was a thin black line against the moonlit ocean. Nearest suitable field? Marcus asked. Grays Harbor Airport, Ruiz said. 23 miles. Single 4,800-foot runway. Unlit. No ILS. Closed at night. Perfect, Marcus said. We'll take it. Ramirez stared. It's a grass strip half the time. Better than ocean. He banked gently left, lining up on a heading that existed only in his head and the green glow of the standby compass. Passengers were praying out loud now. Someone was live streaming on their phone. A flight attendant's voice came over the PA, steady as a rock. Brace positions, please. We're attempting an emergency landing. You are in good hands. Marcus keyed the intercom so the whole plane could hear him. This is Lieutenant Commander Hayes. I'm a Navy pilot helping the crew. We're going to land at a small airfield in 20 minutes. It's going to be rough, but we are going to make it. Keep your seatbelts low and tight, heads down, and when we stop, follow the flight attendants. You're all getting home tonight. That's an order. A cheer went up. Shaky, terrified, but real. Richard Harlan was gripping his armrests so hard his knuckles bled white. Tears streamed down his face. He was mouthing something over and over, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." Marcus flew. He coaxed every last foot of altitude out of that dying airliner like it was a lame horse he refused to let fall. When the gear warning horn screamed at 1,000 feet, he left the landing gear up, less drag. 500 feet. Trees rushed up black against the stars. 300 feet. Marcus flared hard, bleeding off the last of the airspeed, trading it for one final prayer of lift. The belly kissed the runway at 140 knots. Sparks. Screaming metal. The plane slid sideways, turf and gravel spraying like shrapnel. Then, miraculously, it straightened. It kept sliding. Sliding. 4,000 feet of runway disappearing under them. And stopped. Just stopped. 10 feet from the end. Silence. Then the entire plane erupted in sobs, screams, cheers, prayers in 6 languages. Marcus unstrapped, legs shaking so hard he could barely stand. He pushed past the cockpit door. The cabin was chaos. People hugging, crying, kissing the floor. Lily was in the aisle, reaching for him with both chubby arms, the college kid crying too hard to let her go. "Daddy." Marcus dropped to his knees and pulled her into his chest, burying his face in her hair, breathing her in like oxygen. Behind him, Richard Harlan stood up on unsteady legs. He walked back down the aisle, suit torn, face streaked with tears and snot. He stopped in front of Marcus, dropped to both knees, and bowed his head. "I am so sorry," he choked out. "For everything I said. You saved my life. You saved all of us. And I was cruel to a hero." Marcus looked at him for a long moment. Then he shifted Lily to one hip, reached out, and pulled Richard into a hug. "We all have bad days, man," Marcus said quietly. "Today just wasn't yours to have one." Richard sobbed into his shoulder like a child. Outside, red and blue lights raced toward them across the dark field. Fire trucks, ambulances, state troopers. Inside, strangers held each other and thanked God and a tired single dad in a faded Navy shirt. Later, much later, after the NTSB interviews, after the news choppers and the viral videos and the medals and the handshakes from admirals, Marcus sat on the wing of the wrecked 737 in the dawn light, Lily finally asleep on his lap. Richard Harlan approached, holding 2 styrofoam cups of coffee. He handed one over without a word. They drank in silence, watching the sun come up over the Pacific. Finally Richard spoke, voice hoarse. "I'm selling the company," he said. "Liquidating everything. Starting a foundation. For children who've lost a parent. Military families. I'm calling it the Lily Hayes Fund." Marcus looked at him, eyes wet. Richard met his gaze. "You taught me what really matters at 37,000 feet, he said. "Let me spend the rest of my life trying to be half the man you are." Marcus just nodded, too choked up to speak. He looked down at his daughter, kissed her forehead, and whispered the same words he said every night. "We made it, baby girl. Daddy's got you. We're gonna be okay." And for the first time in 14 months, he believed it. 2412. The message at the end of the video, spoken softly over slow piano and footage of Marcus carrying Lily toward the sunrise, says simply, "Never judge a book by its cover. The person you look down on today might be the one God sends to carry you home tomorrow. Be kind. You never know who's a hero in disguise."